Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys and offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by J.P. Morgan Chase, a partner in financial planning. Looking ahead to retirement, growing your business, or for commercial banking, J.P. Morgan Chase offers advice and solutions tailored to individual needs and client well-being. More information is at jpmorganchase.com. And by Luba Workers' Comp, a regional insurance carrier dedicated to providing reliable workers' compensation coverage to employers and workers in 13 states across the Southeast. With personalized service, trusted expertise, and tailored solutions, Luba helps businesses protect what matters most. Discover more at lubawc.com.
From Collins on St. Charles Avenue in uptown New Orleans, we're Out to Lunch with Peter Raschuti, Tulane University A.B. Freeman School of Business professor and director of the Birkenroad Reports. It's business, New Orleans style.
Hi, I'm Peter Raschuti. Welcome to Out to Lunch. As human beings, we have many shared experiences. Most of us, one way or another, get a haircut, and most of us appreciate the fleeting beauty of flowers. You might think those two mundane observations are devoid of any kind of potential entrepreneurial reinvention. After all, whether your mom cuts your hair or you go to a salon, a haircut is, well, a haircut, right? And whether you pick your own flowers or buy them from a florist, a week later they're dead and you have to throw them out, right? Wrong on both of those. When you go to a hairstylist and you sit in the chair, most of your time is spent with the hairstylist snipping at your hair with scissors. Actually, hairstylists don't use plain old scissors. They use designed and sharpened types of scissors referred to as shears. To cut hair, the stylist moves the shears all around in different kinds of angles. They continually adjust the angle by very fine, delicate flexing movements of their hand, wrist, arm, elbow, and shoulder. Everything flexes except the shears. For 25 years, a hairstylist in New Mexico by the name of Bill Brenton, along with his buddy and partner Murray Roth, a hairstylist in Madisonville, Louisiana, worked on designing shears that would flex. Bill died in 2008, but Murray kept the dream alive, and today Murray Roth manufactures and sells Flex 360, ergonomic, patented shears used by hairstylists across the country and around the world. The engineering trick to the flexing shears is the loop you put your thumb through is on a swivel. Murray Roth, welcomed Out to Lunch.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And so too, flowers. Sometimes you pick a few flowers or buy them from a florist or a supermarket to brighten up your living or workspace. But other times, that bunch of flowers is more than just a dash of color on your coffee table. They might be a bunch of flowers you held at your wedding, or flowers from the funeral of a close loved one, or flowers from any number of other occasions that mean something to you. If you've ever wished you could keep those flowers forever, well, now you can. Stephanie Tarrant is a florist and an artist. She combines her talents by taking flowers and preserving them. They look as real as the day they were picked, and they retain their same vibrant colors forever. Stephanie preserves whole bouquets in resin. She takes flowers and incorporates them into pieces of jewelry and into dishes and trays. Stephanie's company is called the Crypt Flowers. Its slogan is, "All flowers deserve forever." Stephanie Tarrant, welcomed Out to Lunch.
Thank you for having me.
Murray, when I was describing how your Flex 360 shears work, most people were probably thinking the reason you want them to respond to delicate movements is for creative purposes, so you can get the most accurate angle for every cut to create a hairstyle. And while that may be true, there's also another reason for having responsive shears, and that's the health of the stylist. Although we might not think of hair cutting as a physically demanding job, the kind of repetitive motion that comes with cutting hair takes a toll over the years. So when hairstylists discover your flexible shears, are they principally attracted to them for their creative advantage or for their health advantage?
The main principle of the scissor that we've created is to make it easier for the hairdresser to be able to work all day and much more comfort and much less worrying about getting their wrists
Right, carpal
strained,
tunnel, all kinds of things, right?
carpal tunnel, burning shoulders, different things like that, in which I know it does because I've been cutting with these scissors for 30 years. I've been cutting hair for 60, okay? And the only reason I've been cutting it for 60 is because of the Flex 360 shear allowed me to be more comfortable and not overwork my positions that I'm in all day long while entertaining a client, and also giving them a great haircut.
If we hear anything at all about patents, it's usually something to do with technology. It always sounds very complex. On the other hand, a swivel on a pair of scissors might be revolutionary, but as far as a patent goes, it seems pretty simple. Your marketing stresses that these shears are patented. Was getting a patent pretty straightforward?
It took a little bit of a time and to, having the evaluators understand them, but we got them without a whole lot of problem. And we've been patented twice. Okay, the original patent came with Bill Brenton and I together, and then unfortunately, Bill Benton passed away at an earlier age, much earlier age, and so I was, left since I was a full partner to continue the product. And so at that point, we and I and some other hairdressers got together and started talking about what we could do to make it even better, So we improved the scissor, a step farther than it was, and it was allowed to get another patent on it, a previous patent. So we're talking about 10 years difference in the two patents that were allowed.
Now, Stephanie, humans have been preserving flowers for almost as long as we've had artifacts of human history. Garlands of dried flowers were found in the tomb of King Tut from around 1300 BC. Most recently, people started pressing flowers in books to preserve a memory or a moment. While these methods work, they diminish much of the natural beauty of flowers by making them flat and faded. Your technique, preserving flowers in resin, preserves the color, the three-dimensional appearance, and the delicate beauty of the flowers. How much of your work is your own art, where you take flowers and make them into jewelry or other pieces to sell, and how much is commission? People who come to you with something like a wedding bouquet and they want to keep it forever?
I'd say it's maybe 50-50. On a daily basis, I personally go forage or pluck a flower every day, whether I leave it on my altar, whether I make earrings or a piece of art with it.
Neighbors don't mind. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would say on the business side of things, though, the commissions are mostly, I'd say about 70% personalized flowers that I'm doing for people.
People often talk about art and commerce as if they're opposites, but artists find out pretty quickly when they decide on pursuing a life in art as well as making it, they have to sell it. How do you feel about the commercial side of being an artist? Do you enjoy business, or is it something you'd rather delegate?
That's a good question. Business is a little hard for, I think, any artist or entrepreneur, but I think it's pretty radical to use your art to make a living and find ways to make money out of it in a way that isn't soul-sucking or compromising to somebody else. So I think I've found a good medium ground to keep moving forward.
Soul-sucking probably tells a lot about that. Mari, scissors I have cost like $8, and they're available at a drugstore. These are expensive scissors. I mean, these are something very special.
Yes. If you look at the scissor world overall, I'm talking about like regular cloth cutting scissors, all the way to steel cutting scissors. But the scissors play so much of a part in the styling area now, especially since Vidal Sassoon, if y'all remember that name,
yeah.
Vidal Sassoon and Paul Mitchell started cutting hair with scissors, okay, and doing these really strong shapes of
So,
hair
Murray,
cutting.
before those two, scissors weren't used that much?
No, well, actually, there's a difference between a barber stylist and a cosmetologist stylist, which is we're known as hairstylists, hairdressers. Okay. When I first started out, we learned how to cut hair with a razor at beauty school. Okay. We didn't even, we had no idea about scissors. Okay. But when this movement came with these high, like Vidal Sassoon, this guy was like the ultimate in hair cutting, and it was so revolutionary, and he was using a scissor, okay? And so, the progressive hairdressers around the area wanted to duplicate this, okay, and put it on their clients, okay, because this was exciting. And we went from setting hair with rollers, and putting people on the dry with 6 dryers going on, and, to dealing with one person at a time, okay, intimately with them, and not going through 6 different stages. And the look was so totally different. There was no teasing in the hair, jacking it up, all this kind of things that go on in styling at that point. And the progressive haircuts, it was a younger clientele that got on it, okay? And so that was exciting too, because, we were working with different age brackets, but we weren't getting the young people, okay?
So
And
guys
so-
were always a scissors kind of thing, but it's
Right.
women that made this go.
Yeah.
I got to ask both of you, and they're really something you really wouldn't think of, is the state had laws, or maybe still does, for both of your businesses. Stephanie, I want to start with yours. What was it, a certificate? Is so much good that happens in Baton Rouge. I can't imagine really what what did they want you to have?
So I want to say maybe 20 or 30 years ago, you used to have to perform and design on site in front of a panel, as well as take an exam. I have heard that the Louisiana bar exam had a higher passing rate than the floral exam, which I can only attest to the dated curriculum that it is completely based off of. So you used to have to take the test and then design on site. A previous boss of mine fought in court to get the on-site designing part removed, but they kept the test. So last spring, a friend of mine, Helen from Ko-Fi Floral, went down to the State House, and as 2 of the only licensed florists in the room, demanded that it was keeping people from making a living, it was in the way of the state making more money, and it was just unnecessary altogether.
And this wasn't just what you do, it was anybody who's going to be a florist, right?
Yes, anyone who wants to be a florist at home, or if they have a commercial space, you can't access the few wholesalers that we had in town. It's not so easy to go through and get all of your paperwork lined up anyway, but to also have to go and take a test based on such dated information, it just felt like it was a little bit gatekeepy to me, especially that the test was only offered in English and there were only 3 testing sites in the state.
You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm Peter Raschuti. I'm talking with Stephanie Tarrant from the Crypt Flowers, where real flowers live forever, and Murray Roth, creator of ergonomic hair cutting shears called Flex 360. We'll continue our conversation when we come right back from this short break.
Out to Lunch is brought to you by Basics Underneath. Fine lingerie, personalized fitting, curated swimsuits, and workout wear. Uptown on Magazine Street and at basicsunderneath.com. And by Tracy Moore, broker, realtor, and partner at Rev Realtors, offering over 20 years of experience representing buyers, sellers, and investors. Learn more at tracy.revrealtors.com. Additional support comes from Chateau Sew, a fabric store on St. Charles Avenue. Chateau Sew offers quality fabrics, sewing notions, and classes. Details at chateausew.com.
You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm Peter Raschuti. I'm talking with Stephanie Tarrant from the Crypt Flowers, where real flowers live forever, and Murray Roth, creator of ergonomic hair-cutting shears called Flex 360. Murray, you had the same issue, but you took a different tact with it. You had to fight the, what was it, the cosmetology?
Yeah, so what happened, the way we did it is we got a group of progressive minded hairdressers from around Louisiana, like Baton Rouge, Shreveport, going over to Texas and getting hairdressers that we knew were getting in this progressive thing. And so we formed a committee and went down to the state legislature. And, we had like 10 people went down there, and like 7 of them were beautiful young hairdressers, okay?
That probably worked.
And they get a lot of attention, So we got the ears of the way we feel about it. That's what we had, go from that angle. But we actually got the law changed to where cosmetologists were included in being able to cut hair with scissors. So we had that law changed.
So you're basically professional lobbyists. This is good. I like where this is going. Stephanie, tell me where you mentioned the resins and all that, but how many different uses could you come up with?
For dried flowers?
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many. Whether it's carnival season, I'm making wearables and headpieces. If it's a wedding, I may be making something preserved to have functional in your home. Even a corsage from a wedding you can put in a shadow box. Garlands, like you mentioned, wreaths, protective wards to hang at your door, stuff to put in the garden. Flowers have endless uses.
Are you the pioneer of this business?
I don't think so. I think flowers and resin was really trendy online during the pandemic. That's kind of when I saw the big uptick. And that is also when I started my business officially. I had been just using a flower press, just pressing them or in a frame or in books. The pandemic gave me the downtime to really hone in on what I wanted to do and the specific resin I wanted to use, as many of the box stores carry pretty toxic resins. Some of the instant UV resins are not great to wear on your skin every day. So it took a lot of research. I don't think I'm the first, but I am maybe the most thoughtful and considerate preservationist in town.
I was thinking, if you put that in the like a tray and you were divorced, I would like put the salsa over his head or something. That seemed like the kind of thing I would do. Oh. Murray, I would ask you this on a business side. It's such a cool end of this business of scissors in general. Has anybody ever tried to buy you out?
No, but we've had some competitors that tried to get in and knock the product off, if you want to call it that, copy it. But we still had our patent, which kind of deterred them. But some bigger companies got in, but they came up with something, but it's not quite what our scissor is. It'll turn, but it doesn't give. So when you open the scissor, it still hurts the thumb, because it actually hurts it more because it turns too easy, and when they open it up, it digs into the top of their thumb. See, because of the position that a stylist uses with the scissor, it's the correct way is to have the thumb ring right across the tip of the thumb, and on the third finger. And when you open the scissor, and close it, you use the thumb straight, okay? It digs into the thumb when you close it and open it. It's better than a normal scissor, but it's not quite. This is like the difference between, Volkswagen and a Maserati,
Yeah. Okay. And you've been nice, so you haven't mentioned that my scissors suck, which is good. Stephanie, I'm thinking about the marketing for you. You know what I would be doing? This probably isn't right, but I'd be trying to talk up. This is a strange thing to say. Talk up funeral directors and wedding planners. Do you do that, or how do you get clients?
I do a little bit. I send some cold emails out. I drop by with a pamphlet. I think it's mostly the marketing I've done has been through my photography, honestly. Because,
So that's another business you have.
Right. I'm also a freelance photographer, but I embed all of my images with, SEO keywords and how to find floral preservation in New Orleans. And knock on wood somewhere, I have not had to pay for any advertising yet. Just doing that has gotten me quite a bit of traffic online.
And there's no storefront.
I have had a studio space outside of the house. I've carried some pieces in different stores around town. The goal someday will be to have a workspace that is also serving as a storefront, but for now, just working out of the second bedroom in my home.
Now, I have to ask that, is that sometimes people love it and some people think there's some downside to working at home. What do you think?
I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I've certainly been more productive when I've had a studio space outside of my home, but there's something really convenient and enjoyable about just shuffling back and forth throughout the house, working on this, working on that. I'd say the hardest part is that there's usually one piece of cat or dog hair in each of my pieces, and those are extra.
So that's the lagniappe division of the Crypt flowers. Hey, Murray, where do you these things have a lifetime guarantee, right? Where do you manufacture them, and where do you repair them? Where's all that happen?
That's all done in-house here. We have a small facility that we work out of, and it doesn't take a lot because of the size of the product. We can house a lot of money in a small space, okay, with the scissors, so we just work out of a small space, and then we have some part-time people that come in and help us when we get orders in from overseas. We have to box them and package them over here, and so we're looking at that right now because I'm getting ready to drop out of the hair business. When I say hair business, I'm talking about cutting hair and putting more effort and time into this. And I'm sure we're going to be growing because me and Murray are going to have more time to get together. Murray does all of the legal work and a lot of and a lot of the artists come in, and he handles a lot of the getting the orders to me and keeping track of the book works and everything we got going on with the scissors from the legal side and the doing the everyday work of keeping track of all our expenses and this and that. But as far as the scissors go, I can get a box maybe this big, okay, with $20,000-$30,000 worth of scissors in it.
It's definitely, we've had so many guests that love doing something, and it was a hobby, and then they did it for work, and everything changed. How's it gone for you?
It's beautiful. It's exciting. I grew up in a flower shop, so I really got to see the retail end of flowers at a really early age. I got to do some really great high-end, huge weddings in Chicago. So my younger self has been through that whole floral flowers wow career. And when I decided to make this a hobby for myself, I was able to kind of let go of that need to be a florist and want to work with fresh flowers all the time and kind of take my love for flowers a step further with drawing them. So while I still do freelance and work for some other florists in town, this love for flowers feels completely different than anything before.
Now you basically grew up in a florist family, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, my godmother is a florist.
Yeah. And did she help you kind of get going?
She did. I at her space in Chicago, I was the soda fountain guy, just kind of making coffees and watching. It was
Is this the 1950s?
It's
You
in
like
a
a soda
building that
jar?
was built before air travel. So there was two twin buildings on the north side of Chicago in Edgewater. It's the Edgewater Beach Apartments. It looks like a Wes Anderson film in there. And so my aunt lived on the 3rd floor, and her flower shop was on the 1st floor. And I was behind the soda fountain, making my sodas, coffee, and soup for everyone that lived in the building, just kind of watching all of the florists and designers at work. And then I would grab a couple of buds out of the garbage or on the ground and just make little boutonnieres and little scrapter pieces, I'd call them. So I was more of an admirer until I'd say my later high school and college days, when she did teach me a few things about fresh flowers and how to serve the clientele.
Murray, you've mentioned a couple of different things, and I don't know if I have it exactly right. What's the difference between the swivel and the flex?
Okay. The swivel has a ring similar to this, okay, a thumb ring. And, you know, it's basically designed the same way with the drill hole through it. But it's part of the metal, okay? And there's a pin that goes through the scissor. It's a solid steel pin, and it has sort of like a screw system on the bottom of it. And so it'll turn, you know, around. And like I said a little earlier, when you open the scissor, if they put it in this diagonal position like this, and they open the scissor with the steel pin, when they come up, you see how this ring gives a little bit forward? The metal one doesn't give. So it starts digging into the back of the thumb here by the nail. So it still has that resistance. Even if you put it like the regular position and you open it with the steel one, it's gonna hurt this here coming up. Where when we open the scissor, if you look at my thumb turning, look, see how it goes up?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is about as far as you're gonna get with this other one without it hurting you. And try to open it a lot wider, okay? Because it kind of restricts the hairdresser from opening the blade up. But with this, if you see what I'm doing right now, it allows me to get the scissor wide open, see? And it just plays into every position that we normally try to get in. It just answers the question. I don't have to bend, like I said, I don't have to do this, get in a horizontal position. I just drop my hands down and I get totally comfortable.
You know, I'm
This
never going to be
way,
able to
this
look at
way,
scissors
this
again like this. I just want to, it's kind of a curse.
This
That's what you're giving me.
Any way you want to go, I don't have to bend the wrist. And that's the key. But this process is why it's so good and so valuable to a hairdresser, because they're doing this all day long. They're trying to get to the same position that I'm just going, you know,
Right.
cut it down here, any way you want to go, sideways.
So, Murray, does that help as someone who cuts their own hair? My thumb often goes straight through and gets stuck down here. Would that movement help?
And it hurts.
It keeps it in the right place on your
If it goes
finger.
through, it's still going to give. But don't let it do that, okay?
That's
I
one
need a
more
pair of
sale,
your
Murray.
That's just hurting you more because you have less leverage on the scissor when you close it. So in other words, the shorter you make it go on the thumb, the less leverage you have. And leverage means a lot, even when you're cutting hair, because you can get into some hard cutting hair, you know. So
Right.
keep all the leverage you can get. And
Stephanie and Murray, you know, when we talk about innovation is often born out of frustration. And most of us, when we're frustrated, complain about things being the way they are. Successful innovators, though, are people like both of you who don't just complain, but decide to do something to change the status quo. At either end of the spectrum, whether it's something that grows continually, like hair, or something whose life is fleeting, like flowers, both of you have been able to improve on what appears to most people to be simply the way of the world. Congratulations on your achievements to date. I look forward to keeping up with you and following your continued success. Thank you both for taking the time to join me today on Out to Lunch.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Thank you.
My guests on Out to Lunch today have been Stephanie Tarrant, owner and artist at the Crypt Flowers, and Murray Roth, co-creator of Flex 360 ergonomic shears. We edited this show to fit into the time slot here on WWNO. You can hear our unedited conversation and find out more about Stephanie's flowers and Murray's shears by listening to the Out to Lunch podcast. You can find and subscribe to the Out to Lunch podcast on your podcast app and on our website, itsneworleans.com. If you want to know what we all look like, you can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com and on our Out to Lunch social media. These photos were taken today by Jill LaFleur. You can find more of Jill's photos at lafleurphoto.com. Out to Lunch is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com and WWNO 89.9 FM. The producer of our show is Grant Morris, our technical producer is Eric Merle, and our researcher is Amy Irvin. I'm Peter Raschuti. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to meeting you again next week around the lunch table for more business New Orleans style on Out to Lunch.
Out to Lunch was recorded live at Columns on St. Charles Avenue. Columns serves lunch and dinner 7 days a week, hosts weddings and private events, features evenings of live jazz and more. Reservations for dining and hotel rooms are at thecolumns.com. Columns is a member of New Orleans & Company. More information at neworleans.com. Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker. Established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys and offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by J.P. Morgan Chase, a partner in financial planning. Looking ahead to retirement, growing your business, or for commercial banking, J.P. Morgan Chase offers advice and solutions tailored to individual needs and client well-being. More information is at jpmorganchase.com. And by Luba Workers' Comp, a regional insurance carrier dedicated to providing reliable workers' compensation coverage to employers and workers in 13 states across the Southeast. With personalized service, trusted expertise, and tailored solutions, Luba helps businesses protect what matters most. Discover more at lubawc.com. Mitchell Foreman wrote and performs all the music on Out to Lunch. You can hear Mitchell's music anywhere great jazz is sold or streamed, and at mitchellforeman.com.